April 8th, 2014 is coming fast, and all Windows XP users will finally get their last update. But what's going to happen and what can you do? That's what's going on this episode of TQA Weekly. My name is Steve Smith, this is TQA Weekly, and if ever you have any questions, comments, suggestions, and or PC horror stories, you can always email me at ask@tqaweekly.com. Go to my brand new website, tqaweekly.com, and either use the comments on each of the particular episodes you're interested in, or use the contact form to send me directly your message. And of course, you can always tweet me at @zaxis. This specific episode of TQA Weekly is brought to you by ProXPN. ProXPN is a virtual private network that allows you to use the internet the way it should be, anonymously and without oversight. For 20% off your brand new account of ProXPN, go to proxpn.com/podcast and use the coupon code TQAWEE. So April 8th, 2014, the last time any of you Windows XP users will be getting updates. Updates for things such as exploits and other type of zero-day bugs in your computer. Now, while it won't immediately go into flames and catch fire and completely get infected full of viruses instantaneously, so you can't ignore the news going crazy on April 8th, that's not what's going to happen. You may want to actually start thinking about 3 or 4 different scenarios. First, do you want to keep Windows XP, or do you have to keep Windows XP? Can you or do you want to upgrade to a newer Windows? And would you like to start using a free operating system that is safer? These are 3 choices. There's a 4th one I'll get to at the end of the show, but it's a different question. So if you're looking to keep Windows XP, and it's probably because either you don't have the funds to go to a newer operating system, or you just can't, or you need specific parts of Windows XP for your business, you're going to have to do a few things differently. One, you're going to have to pull that account out of administrator mode and put into limited user. Create another account in the computer, make that the administrator, and you can swap yours, which is already created, for limited user mode. This will prevent already there plenty of exploits and viruses from being able to leverage your account against you. Also think about getting rid of your default Internet Explorer as being your default. Internet Explorer is the only browser that is ActiveX enabled. The only one. By using any other browser in your computer, you're already going to be safer. While many people say Firefox and Chrome, you also have options with Safari and Opera. So don't forget about all the other browsers out there. As long as it's not based on Internet Explorer, it is safer than Internet Explorer itself, especially since you don't have access to the latest and greatest versions of Internet Explorer anyway, which is safer than the ones Windows XP users are now stuck using. Now, on top of all this, you're going to have to make sure you have an up-to-date antivirus solution, an up-to-date anti-spyware solution. You might want to consider using NoScript and Ghostery, and make sure that you actually run the internet in a way that is, security conscious. If you did not ask for it, did not look for it, do not download it, do not install it. It is very, very important that you understand there is no other way that Windows will ever update Windows XP for any future bugs or exploits. You are stuck with it the way they leave it April 8th, 2014. Now, let's say you can upgrade. We have 2 different scenarios. If you have a normal BIOS motherboard, you can only go up to Windows 7. Windows 7 comes in 32-bit and 64-bit flavors. If your processor can handle 64-bit, go 64-bit. You'll have better access to much more RAM, and you'll be able to do a lot more. 32-bit operating systems at this point in time are laughable. You're restricted to 4096 megs of RAM, and any size graphics card memory will be deducted from the usable RAM that you can use for your system. So if you wanted to buy a 4 gig graphics card and install it in a 32-bit operating system with only 4 gigs of RAM, which is all it can allocate anyway, you wouldn't be able to boot your computer. So if you can install a 64-bit operating system like Windows 7 on your normal BIOS motherboard, go ahead. It will actually be better for you because you'll be able to have a lot more RAM, which costs nothing. So that would be a relatively easy upgrade. And for those who think it's expensive, your home premium license of Windows 7 will only cost you $109. 32-bit or 64-bit, same price. So you might as well buy the 64-bit if your computer will handle it. If you have access to UEFI and the atomic clock required for Windows 8.1, go in that route unless you absolutely hate the Windows tiled interface and do not actually know that you could go into the other mode, which you can now as of 8.1. But if you don't like Windows 8, you can go with Windows 7, but if you want to have the latest and greatest anyway, go to Windows 8. It is also approximately the same price because all of these licenses are about the same price for every single one of these generations. Again, you might as well go 64-bit. You'll have better access to RAM, and boards that can support UEFI and the atomic clock will always support 64-bit, which means you'll always have more access to RAM in the first place. Now, those licenses will be valid for much longer than Windows XP is currently. Windows XP expires in 2 weeks, so you'll have years of time to play with these operating systems. As of now, buying them at $109 is nothing. Now, if you can't upgrade for some reason to any other operating system because it's too old, you might want to go the direction of Linux. Linux is usually free, and in the case of me, I prefer to suggest Ubuntu Linux. It is free, and one of the cool things about Linux is older hardware is easier to support with time, as many users will eventually start asking for these operating systems to support older hardware, so users will create the drivers themselves, since many manufacturers either don't or refuse to create Linux drivers for their hardware. So in those cases, you can go up in your computer, be more secure by using Ubuntu Linux as opposed to staying with Windows XP, which will eventually become more dangerous to use with time. Now, that is one thing that is absolutely good. However, the curve for learning that is a little higher than for those that are used to using Windows. So you can refer to my old episodes, and you can always email me at ask@tikyourwayweekly.com for any questions you have related to that specific topic, and I will answer them in future shows. And if it's an easy enough question to answer, I will answer you right back by email. Now, if this sounds too complicated for you, you can always go the route of buying a brand new computer. This is not part of the initial questions because it is usually not something most people that are already at the end of life of Windows normally think about. You've been using it a long time. For you, you believe it's still good. And eventually, software will stop supporting Windows XP. Games will stop supporting XP. Many stuff will stop supporting Windows XP altogether. So even if it is perfectly good for you now, eventually you won't be able to use it anymore. So if you feel like buying a new computer, I do have a few suggestions. One, make sure that you properly wipe your hard drive before bringing it to a place to be recycled, and make sure you recycle it properly. Most computer stores have a program for that now. And make sure when you're purchasing your new computer to take a warranty out on it. And considering that you'll be getting a newer computer, you have the choice between Windows 7 and Windows 8, and you'll probably get hardware that can support 8 and maybe even Windows 9, which means you'll be plenty able to not just get a newer computer, but to upgrade with an operating system that is newer and better with time. Trust me, it is a lot easier to get your board RMA through a computer store if anything ever happens, but most of the time, it's better safe than sorry. We spend a few dollars more and we get peace of mind later on, even if we never have to use it ever again. So that is the last thing that I have to say about that. And of course, this episode is brought to you by ProXPN. They make it possible for me to bring you these shows and to give you this information, which is valuable for a few of my users, subscribers. So thank you for watching my show. Now more than ever, your online freedom and privacy are under threat. Governments and ISPs want to control what you can or cannot see, keeping a record of everything you do. Plus, that free Wi-Fi at the coffee house and airport terminal is putting you at risk because your passwords and sensitive data can be intercepted more easily than you might think. ProXPN is a virtual private network that works with almost any internet connection, creates a secure encrypted tunnel through which all your online data passes back and forth. Any online application can work through ProXPN, including your web browser, email, file sharing, and instant messaging programs. ProXPN keeps everything you do online hidden from prying eyes, disguising your physical location and giving you unfettered access to any website or online service no matter where you live or travel to. Complete online privacy with 2048-bit encryption key and 512-bit encryption tunnel. Works with OpenVPN or PPTP. You get to choose. Protect yourself against your ISP 6 strikes rule, internet filtering, blocked websites, geographical restrictions for internet content and online videos with worldwide servers available in the US, UK, Asia, and more. ProXPN software for Windows and Macs offers advanced controls allowing you to select which programs and ports you want to anonymously route through ProXPN servers. ProXPN also works for iOS and Android devices, allowing you to use your data plan or public corporate Wi-Fi with complete and total privacy on the go. No app required, even though they now have apps for both iOS and Android, and they have really amazing 24/7 customer support. All you need to do is to go to proxpn.com/podcast for more information and to sign up, TQA Weekly watchers and listeners. Also, get a free 30-day risk-free trial. Remember to visit proxpn.com/podcast with the coupon code TQAWEE. Why? Because ProXPN premium accounts are normally $9.95 a month or $74.95 for the entire year. So basically, you already saved money there. But we've got a special offer. Use the coupon code TQAWEE and receive 20% off the entire lifetime. That means the entire lifetime of your brand new ProXPN account. Thank you for watching, subscribing, have a great day, and let's see you here next week.